Pain. The one thing every great athlete has faced, and the one thing most people, quite naturally, run from. It's a shadow that looms, a whisper of doubt that can cripple the strongest will. We see the glory, the victory laps, the shining trophies held aloft. But what we often miss, what lies beneath the surface of triumph, is the intricate tapestry woven from threads of agony, setback, and the relentless refusal to surrender. It is the silent companion on the long road to achievement, the uninvited guest at every training session, every competition. But the legends? They didn't just survive pain, they used it. They understood, perhaps intuitively, perhaps through bitter experience, that pain is not merely an obstacle but a forge, a place where character is hammered out, where resilience is tempered, and where an ordinary individual can be transformed into something extraordinary. They looked into the abyss of their own suffering, their own limitations, and found not an end, but a beginning, a catalyst, a reason to dig deeper, to push harder, to demand more of themselves than anyone else ever could. These are the moments that made them, not the trophies, the quiet hours of rehabilitation, the sting of public failure, the lonely dedication when no one was watching. It's in these crucibles that true power is born. Not the power of brute force, but the power of an indomitable spirit. Today, we journey into the hearts of those who stared pain in the face and dared it to break them, only to emerge stronger, more resolute, and forever etched into the annals of sporting history. Before the 6 championships, before the iconic Jumpman silhouette graced shoes worldwide, before his name became synonymous with basketball itself, Michael Jordan was a sophomore in high school, a young man with a dream, like so many others. He tried out for the varsity team, full of hope, only to find his name missing from the list. Cut. Not good enough. Imagine that sting, that public declaration of inadequacy. For many, that could have been the end of a fledgling ambition, a story that faded before it truly began. The pain of that rejection could have easily soured him on the game he loved, pushing him towards other pursuits. But this wasn't just any young man. This was Michael. And in that moment of acute disappointment, something ignited within him. It wasn't despair that took root, but a burning, unyielding fire. He didn't just accept the coach's decision. He internalized it, transformed it. That pain became his constant companion, his most demanding coach. He would later say he saw the name of the player who took his spot every single day. The NFL Draft, a spectacle of hope and dreams where futures are decided and lives are changed. For some it's a coronation, for others, a long, agonizing wait. In the year 2000 draft, 6 quarterbacks had their names called, their futures seemingly bright, before a young man from Michigan named Tom Brady finally heard his. The 199th overall pick. Not exactly a vote of overwhelming confidence. He was deemed too slow, his arm not quite strong enough, his potential, in the eyes of many so-called experts, capped. That number, 199, became a brand, a label of doubt. Imagine the thoughts swirling in his head as he watched quarterback after quarterback get selected ahead of him. The frustration, the quiet anger, the gnawing feeling of being underestimated. This wasn't the pain of a sudden injury, but the slow burn of perceived inadequacy, the collective judgment of an entire league. But Tom Brady, you see, wasn't forged in the crucible of adulation or immediate expectation. He was built in the quiet shadows, in the relentless pursuit of proving everyone wrong. The whispers started subtly, then grew louder. She's past her prime. The injuries are too much. Perhaps it's time to hang up the racket. For Serena Williams, a titan of tennis, the pain wasn't just physical, though there was plenty of that. Aching joints, strained muscles, the wear and tear of 1,000 battles on court. It was also the pain of doubt, the external pressure to concede to time, to expectation, to the narrative that her glorious reign was nearing its end. This was a different kind of adversary, one that attacked the mind as much as the body. She faced grueling recoveries, fought through matches when her body screamed in protest. all under the intense scrutiny of a world that often seemed eager to write her obituary as a champion. Each loss was magnified, each victory almost expected yet harder to achieve. But Serena Williams doesn't just play tennis, she competes with history, with expectations, with the very limits of what is thought possible. Her career has been a masterclass in resilience, a powerful statement against yielding to pain, whether it emanates from a strained ligament or a chorus of doubters. What many failed to understand was that for Serena, pain and pressure were not deterrents, but fuel. She seemed to draw strength from the adversity, transforming it into an almost palpable ferocity on the court. Her serves would crack with a little more venom, her ground strokes would land with a little more precision, her roars of effort and triumph would echo with a little more defiance. She wasn't just fighting her opponent, she was fighting the limitations others tried to place upon her, fighting for her legacy, a legacy that she herself was still actively writing. Imagine a young man, far from home, in a new country, with a dream so large it seemed almost audacious. Giannis Antetokounmpo, before he was the Greek Freak, before the MVP awards and the NBA championship, was a teenager navigating the tough streets of Athens. He and his brother would sell trinkets, watches, sunglasses, just to help their family make ends meet. The pain of poverty, of uncertainty, of being an outsider, was a daily reality. This wasn't the pain of a sprained ankle, it was the ache of hunger, both literal and metaphorical. His escape, his solace, his hope was a basketball court. But even there, comfort was a luxury he couldn't always afford. There were nights, after grueling practices, when there was no ride home, no warm bed waiting. So Giannis slept in the gym, on a cold, hard floor, with nothing but his ambition to keep him warm. That gym wasn't just a place to train, it was a crucible, forging an unbreakable will, a relentless determination. He trained in the relative obscurity of those early days, fueled by a vision only he could fully see. The hunger that drove him wasn't just for food, but for a different life, for a chance to lift his family out of hardship, to prove that a kid from Sepolia could reach the pinnacle of global basketball. Every dribble on that concrete, every shot taken in that lonely gym, was a step away from the life he knew and a step towards the life he dreamed of. He didn't have the polished pedigree of some of his peers, but he had something more powerful, an unquenchable desire, a work ethic born from necessity. This raw hunger translated directly onto the court. While the city of Los Angeles slept, shrouded in the pre-dawn quiet, a lone figure was often already at work: Kobe Bryant. The gym was his laboratory, his sanctuary, the place where he waged a relentless war against his own limitations. The famed 4 a.m. workouts weren't a myth. They were a cornerstone of his legend, a testament to an obsessive pursuit of greatness that bordered on the divine. This wasn't just about getting an extra practice. It was a ritual, a covenant he made with himself. Every missed shot in a crucial game, every stinging loss, every criticism leveled against him, these weren't just moments of pain to be endured and forgotten. For Kobe, they were data points, fuel for the fire that burned within him. He would dissect his failures with a surgeon's precision, replaying them in his mind, then translating that analysis into hours of relentless, repetitive practice. He didn't just want to correct his mistakes, he wanted to obliterate them, to ensure they never happened again. This was the essence of the Mamba mentality. Greatness, in Kobe's world, wasn't a gift bestowed by talent alone. It was a conscious choice, a daily commitment to the arduous, often unglamorous process of improvement. He was obsessed not just with winning, but with the journey, with the incremental gains made in those solitary hours when no one was watching. The pain of pushing his body to its limits, the mental fatigue of constant focus, these were prices he willingly paid, investments in the currency of excellence. The path to glory is rarely a straight line. For Ray Lewis, it was a winding, often treacherous road, marked by profound adversity long before he ever became a Hall of Fame linebacker. Early in his career, he found himself entangled in serious legal troubles. His future, both in football and in life, hanging precariously in the balance. He faced the harsh glare of public judgment, the whispers of condemnation, and the very real possibility that his dreams would be extinguished before they could truly ignite. The pain was immense, a crushing weight of uncertainty and societal scorn. Many men would have crumbled under such pressure, counted out and cast aside. But Ray Lewis possessed a spirit that refused to be broken. He confronted the darkness both around him and within him, and made a conscious decision not to run, not to hide, but to rebuild. This wasn't just about salvaging a football career. It was about reclaiming his life, redefining his narrative. It required a deep, painful introspection, an acceptance of responsibility, and an unwavering commitment to change. The process of rebuilding was arduous, demanding a level of mental fortitude that few possess. He had to earn back trust, not just from his team and the league, but from the public, and perhaps most importantly, from himself. He channeled the pain of his past, the memory of his mistakes, into an almost spiritual intensity. He found solace and strength in his faith, and poured every ounce of his being into becoming not just a better player, but a better man. October 31st, 2003. A day that began like any other for a talented 13-year-old surfer named Bethany Hamilton, out on the waves off Kauai's North Shore. But it ended with a nightmare. A 14-foot tiger shark attacked, severing her left arm just below the shoulder. In an instant, her life, her dreams, her very identity as a rising surf star were thrown into terrifying jeopardy. The physical pain was unimaginable, the blood loss life-threatening. But beyond that loomed the emotional pain of such a catastrophic loss, the question of why me. Most people, faced with such a traumatic event, would understandably never want to set foot in the ocean again. The fear, the memory of the attack, would be too overwhelming. The world would have understood if Bethany Hamilton had chosen a different path, if she had retreated from the waves that had brought her both so much joy and such profound pain. But Bethany was not most people. Her spirit, it turned out, was as vast and resilient as the ocean itself. Incredibly, just 1 month after losing her arm, Bethany Hamilton was back on her surfboard. 1 month. Let that sink in. This wasn't just an act of courage, it was an act of defiance, a refusal to let tragedy define her. She had to relearn everything, how to paddle, how to balance, how to pop up on the board, all with one arm. The youngest MVP in NBA history, Derrick Rose at his peak, was a blur of explosive athleticism, a Chicago Sun who carried the hopes of a city on his shoulders. He played with a reckless abandon, a breathtaking combination of speed, power, and grace that left defenders grasping at air and fans roaring in delight. The future seemed limitless, a dynasty in the making. Then came the injuries, not just one but a devastating series of them, tearing apart his knees, robbing him of his signature explosiveness and threatening to derail his career prematurely. The pain was multifaceted. There was the searing physical agony of torn ligaments and grueling rehabilitation, repeated over and over. But perhaps even more profound was the mental and emotional toll. The frustration of his body betraying him, the cycle of hope followed by yet another setback, the whispers from critics who said he'd never be the same, that he should just retire. To fall from such a majestic height to have your prime stolen by injury is a cruel fate for any athlete. Many players in his situation might have walked away, the constant battle too much to bear. The spotlight, once a source of adoration, could easily have become a painful reminder of what was lost. But Derrick Rose possessed a quiet resilience, a deep, abiding love for the game of basketball that refused to be extinguished. September 9, 2006, a routine tackle during a college football game for the University of Tennessee. But for Inky Johnson, it was anything but routine. One hit, a seemingly ordinary moment in a violent sport, changed his life forever. He suffered a severe injury to his right arm and shoulder, an injury so catastrophic it resulted in permanent paralysis and chronic pain. His dreams of an NFL career, so tantalizingly close, vanished in that instant. The pain was not just physical, It was the agony of a future rewritten, of a path violently closed. The initial despair must have been overwhelming. To have your life's ambition, the thing you'd poured your heart and soul into, snatched away in such a cruel fashion is a burden few can comprehend. The countless hours of training, the sacrifices made, all seemingly for naught. It would have been easy for Inky to succumb to bitterness, to let anger and resentment consume him. The pain was a constant companion, a daily reminder of what he had lost. But Inky Johnson's story did not end on that football field. In the crucible of his suffering, he began to discover a new purpose, one perhaps even greater than he could have imagined as a football player. He realized that his experiences, his pain, his resilience could be a source of inspiration for others. He chose not to be a victim of his circumstances, but a victor over them, transforming his personal tragedy into a powerful testimony. Monday Night Football, January 2, 2023. A routine tackle, a young safety, Damar Hamlin making a play. He stood up, then collapsed. Silence fell over the stadium, then a wave of shock and horror rippled through millions watching live. His heart had stopped. In that terrifying moment, the world of sports held its collective breath. The pain wasn't his alone, it was shared by teammates, opponents, fans, and a global audience witnessing a life hanging precariously in the balance. This was pain in its most visceral, immediate, and frightening form. The swift action of medical personnel on the field was nothing short of heroic, restarting his heart and saving his life. But the days that followed were filled with uncertainty, with prayers and vigils held across the nation. The pain of his family, the anxiety of his teammates, the concern of an entire league, it was a heavy burden. Damar Hamlin became more than just a football player. He became a symbol of life's fragility, a focal point for a rare and profound unity in a divided world. His recovery was nothing short of miraculous, a testament to his own strength, the skill of his doctors, and perhaps the power of collective hope. Each positive update was met with relief and celebration. But the question lingered: would he, could he, ever play football again? Pain is the doorway. It is the stark, often unwelcome threshold we all encounter in various forms. But as these 10 remarkable athletes have shown us, what lies beyond that doorway for those who refuse to quit is power. Not just the power to win, but the power to endure, to inspire, to redefine what is humanly possible. Their stories are etched not just in record books, but in the hearts of millions who have witnessed their struggle and their triumph. These legends weren't built by comfort, by easy victories, or by avoiding the sting of setback. They were built in the fire, forged in the crucible of adversity, shaped by the very pain that threatened to consume them. Each scar, each tear, each moment of doubt overcome became a testament to their unyielding spirit. They remind us that our deepest wounds can often lead to our greatest strengths, and that the human capacity for resilience,